Friends, good evening to all. It is immense pleasure to our S2S family to invite you all. It is the first panel discussion with five. We had two with for 5 panelists and a moderator. We are very much happy and thank Mr. Vijay Kumar who has mooted this idea. Ravi, we have to make a big panel. I said yes. We are waiting for that. So thank you, sir. Our HR professionals are going to listen to a very interesting and very debatable topic where our moderator and the 5 panelists are going to discuss. Before that, we have few supporters for S2S who have made us in 65 months 80 programs. Those are the sponsors. So in 65 months 80 programs we have completed. So one of such sponsors we have here from Gumudipundi, AR Enterprises and Osman Manpower. I request Director Mr. Praveen to make his presentation. With this, we have a day sponsor, team and ChemFAC. There will be a presentation by the team, and after by 6:30 we will go live in YouTube and also team. Both live will be there today. So for a panel discussion. Over to Mr. Praveen.
There was a man from a village, from a micro farming community, who used to stitch workers' cloth uniform from a rice bag side, and he only believed in ethics and hard working. He believed that ethics and hard working would lift his life, and his belief doesn't been wrong. He was right, and with the help of his wife, he have made the achievements. Let's see who they are. They are the parents of our care groups, Mr. Ravi and Mrs. Samula. They start their journey with Ashok Leyland by providing 9 members as an construction sites for the Ashok Leyland. And now, right now, there are around 75,000 plus enrollments, and there are 2,500 employees that are working under our employment. They believe in ethics and hard work, and with the mantra of the ethics and hard working, they have reached a great success. Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pravina, Director of AR Group, and I am here to deliver the presentation about the AR groups. This is our AR groups. We began our groups at 1994 by providing the workers, construction civil workers, through AR engineering works. And through this, we have begun our journey in 1994. And in 2005, we have begun AR Enterprises, which is an manpower supply. And later, we have begun Aqua, which is a manufacturer of mineral water and supplier. And we have gone for an RP Polymer in 2016, which is a manufacturer of injection molding products. And we are producing more and more engineering components as per the requirements of the companies they are asking for. And the new startup was an Ashford Private Limited, which is used for the providing of skilled laborers to the company as per their needs. We are happy to inform you that in these 28 years, we have complied with many other companies, around 45 companies, and we have been here now. We always have in our mind that together we grow better, which made us compare all of the best companies to increase their production and quality, which in turn raises the standards of our employees. Because in the end, we want our people to be happy and have the best and feel satisfied. At present, we have 2,500 current employee enrollments and 75,000 plus total employment enrollments and 27 plus happy employers and around 45 total employers. Please contact us through the mobile number of 9842 991439 or 9942 1399 or through the email ID. And I am thanking the members of the S2S family and the Rotating Club for providing me this good opportunity to deliver about our company. And thanks for your honorable and measurable thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Praveen. Now I invite MFAT group, team group to come forward and make the decision. MFAT.
Myself, DG and Mr. Selvakumar from team. So we both are from team, Kenfar team group. So I'm going to talk about the chemical and PVCO division, and he is going to talk about the engineering division. So Kenfar, we are into the chemical manufacturing and PVCO pipe manufacturing business. So our facts, mainly the chemical division. So our company is established in the year 1985. It's a closely 4 decades business. And our company is a first membrane technology caustic soda manufacturing center. So highly pollution free and the energy conservative company. We produce the caustic soda, liquid chlorine, hydrochloric acid, sodium hypochlorite and hydrogen. So these are our product and the customers. So our product will be more up into the pharma, paint division, soap, vanaspati, and even the chlorine will be they are supplying to the water. The second one is PVCO pipe division. So this company is situated in Sri City. So this is mainly a special product. We use this pipe only in the ground, not in the we only able to use in the houses and all. Only for the farmers and maybe for the government project only we are using it. So we are supplying this pipe for the Tamil Nadu Water Board and the Kerala Water Authority, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Goa. So our company is certified awarded and in the FICCI and CAI and ICC awards. So certification for the environmental related occupational health and safety, process safety management, and laboratory management system, responsible care and trade based certification. So all these certificates, this is one of our Chloralkali, we are the first company got all these certificates. Some of the people practices. So leadership development, we have type with Great Lakes and we give training to all our senior leadership team. And we have a health and wellness program. We give training for all our employees, family members. So employees, wife and mother and their daughter, they participated in the program. And long service award, we are awarded the people, those who are with us for more than 20-25 years. Every year we are giving award for them. And we are also, as an employee engagement, we are every once in quarter, we are releasing the e-newsletter and reward recognition scheme. So as part of the CSR, we have tie-up with the government parties, and during the COVID time, we are giving the COVID-related item. And meantime, we are also give CSR in the women empowerment. So this is about CAL. Then Mr. Vasilla will talk about the team.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks S2S Hr Forum for this opportunity to present our company. So we are an engineering company, and what we guys are doing here. So basically, that we are passionate about HR, and in terms of implementing the HR practices wherever it is available. Number one, and also like to benchmark with other companies, and we embrace there is no shame in copying from others. So that's the main idea. Like what are the best practices that we have? Would like to share our HR fraternity. So the team, the Titanium Equipment and Anode Manufacturing Company Private Limited, located in Vandalu. So we are a 44.5 years old company, and we started with coatings. You know, those days like in '77, the coating was something new to India. Our founder chairman very passionate about the technology, and in terms of bringing the fabrications and other membranes from the other parts of India. So that's how it started. We started in somewhere 1977. So we have three divisions. One is the engineering. So the engineering predominantly we are process equipment. The process equipment is nothing but the heat exchangers, the pressure vessels. Predominantly we use in the industry, but our products are basically used in the bigger companies like oil and gas and chemical, petrochemical industry. Oil and gas, when I say the IOCL, wherever there is a refinery, and the chemical, petrochemical, and the sugar industries that they use our products. It's a process. It's called the process equipment. And also the membrane division, which predominantly filtering the waters, right? This is be it drinking water or the wastewater treatment that we do. So we are pioneer in this technology, and we were the first. We put up the desalination plant in the Marina Beach somewhere in 1980s. So we are the first. So we invited that time all the government officials, and we opened that facility and dedicated the technology to the country. And also we are into the team packaged water. Those days, like it comes in a sachet, right? So that we manufacture. Even today, that we are doing. This is that you don't get it in the regular market, because we completely focus on the corporate and the industry segment that we focus. So this I explained to you. So refineries we use, and predominantly for the oil and gas stream. And chemical, when I say chemicals, like your Adani's and Reliance and other industries that we use, and fertilizer industry that we are in. And also we focus on the defense and aerospace. Our products are predominantly used in the defense sectors, be it, of course, it's a very confidential one. I cannot say the names, but it is used predominantly in the defense sectors, be it a missile or submarine and some of the vessels. And we also focus on the pulp and paper, power and sugar industries. And our customers, these are all our customers, major customers, whatever I said. So our customers are like end users, like IOCL, BPCL, those companies are our end users. And also we work with the EPCs, engineering, procurement and construction companies, like EL is one among them, and Technip, Jacobs, and LNG. These are all the big names that you can relate it. Next. Yeah, these are some of the domestic clients that we work, again, sort of, wherever there is a chemical and petrochemical, polymer, and these are all very renowned names. Yeah, next. Some of the export, we do export also, wherever there is a, refinery comes up in the African countries or America, in the Middle East and East Africa, that we do it. So it's a Dangote, it's a bigger refinery project in Nigeria. So that's all from our side, and this is basically to convey and our wishes to all the HR fraternity, and wish you all the very best. And thanks to S2S Forum for giving this opportunity, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Friends, good evening once again. Theme of the panel discussion is human capital management. Is the perceived HR and IR dichotomy a myth? It is going to be a knowledge sharing on both the HR and IR. So eminent speakers who have HR experience and also IR experience are going to share their live experience on the moderator's questions. I thank the moderator and the panelists. They have already made 2 Zoom meeting in order to prepare them to address this gathering in a better way. Let us clap. Somebody want to congratulate the panel and moderator. So they have prepared what to specifically go for this knowledge sharing. I once again welcome. This is going to be a sort of a debate on HR and IR and what is going to be our future in 2030, how the HR and IR will be there. Now, up to 80s, IR was very much strong. You may be knowing, HR managers was not there. Only personal managers were there. And after HRD concept introduced by L&T and HRD professionals, so HR concept has come. Now it is emerged. Basically, everybody, strong people knows we have IR experts here. When you are strong in IR, HR is definitely automatically follows. That is my opinion. If anybody wants to differ, you can differ. If you are going to be strong in the compliance and also the benefits and the law of the land, that is mostly covering the HR and labor laws, you will be through with HR. HRs are more of a soft skill nature, and people now only working only few months in the company. I put one direct question to our interviewers. How many months you will stay in our company? Years have gone. Years, they are staying only months. They will say, sir, 7 months only. That is after confirmation of probation, this fellow will start searching and he will put the papers. So that is the trend, because now the millennials is much more complex. I leave it to the panel to discuss all these. And another big management is unorganized sector of labor. We have here unorganized sector labor expert, Mr. Jagannathan L&T is there. Unorganized labor sector was huge in India. But we are more focused on the employee part. Employee part is very, very small ratio only. Unorganized and also the contract labor are very, very, very critical, and land, law of the land is very much now the Migrant Act. All these are all now they have activated. All authorities have started following the Migrant Act very seriously nowadays, because all companies are facing audit and inspection on that. So we have to apply our IR and HR to the migrant laborers also, who are, I understand, more than 20-25 lakhs are already working in Tamil Nadu. So it is a very huge population, and even in any company, they have a population of 3 times of the or 4 times of the company role strength. So those are also to be taken into care when we have all these put together, HR and IR. Challenges are going to be discussed here, and what is going to be future also. So I invite our moderator to take the stage and make his synopsis, what is going to be here discussion, and lead the panel discussion in a very enthusiastic way. Thank you very much, sir. Presentation. Slide please. Over to Mr. Vijay Kumar.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take just a couple of minutes to help understand why we evolved this thing. It's a little peculiar thing. When we say HR, it's a combination of HR and IR, right? Human resources function, by and large, is a combination of HR and IR. And do we really need to worry about, the specialities anymore? Okay, for 20 years, 30 years, yes, there has been a silo or there has been a speciality in the name of HR and IR. Does it really valid today? And if valid, how long it is going to be valid? And what will happen to the so-called? So, in the first place, I would like to just give a small glimpse about what is this human capital management. The name of HR itself is getting metamorphosized into human capital management. What this capital is all about. Okay, any capital, if it is employed at the right time, in right quantity, and it is operated effectively, will give results. So is the case with human capital also, right? When the human capital, the people are rightly placed, rightly engaged, rightly challenged, the human capital will find its own way of de-employing itself. It will not wait for you to get de-employed, right? So that's the dynamism of the human capital. So therefore, the very name human capital got coined. So a lot of resemblances are there except the dynamism. It can walk off you. The human capital can walk off any time. And it has got emotions. And therefore, the people who manage people will very simple, right, right. First slides I take to So when we say IR, by and large, many of us would have been through IR space, including my senior colleague, Mr. Murugeshan. when we think of IR or when we think that tomorrow morning I'll have to face some IR scenario, some discomfort will be in our minds, right? Some discomfort because we know what will happen. IR professionals will know what will happen. But the so-called, the likelihood of the happening may not be to the good taste of our bosses always, the business heads. So that's where the discomfort starts. Okay. So why should we feel discomfort about IR at all? Because all that they speak, all the so-called representatives of employees speak well within the framework of Constitution. So let's take a little flashback about what this IR is all about. Oh. See our Constitution has given the fundamental rights in the form of farming associations and in the form of right to livelihood. Many of us may not be aware that the Constitution gives a provision for an individual right to livelihood. It's not strictly implied. Yeah. When I say right to livelihood, when there are 10 people attending for an interview, and if a few are rejected, and they can challenge always. But this constitutional, the so-called, the right is not very strictly enforced in our country. Okay, this is a flaw. I don't want to speak much about that. So therefore, the next is, See, when the Constitution got evolved, 1950s itself, it speaks about maternity. It's not that something, we are speaking about maternity now. And it also speaks about living wage. Now we are talking about minimum wage. The very Constitution, Article 43 of the Constitution spoke in those days about the living wage, not minimum wage. So out of living wage, we evolved a lot of classifications, and now minimum wage is something we are worrying a lot. Then participation of workers as per Article 43A. So the Constitution has got wonderful sanctity for all these things, and only the unions by and large represent only these things. They don't represent anything beyond this. Simple. So why should we worry about IR? We are going to discuss that next. The other space of human capital management is HR. When I traveled on a kind of HR operations path or an IR path, and when I when I am moved or when I am elevated to a different level, I will have the challenges of introducing so many things. So there I will have some discomfort. I'll call those new things as Fonda, HR Fonda. So obviously, I'll be sitting in strategy room. I'll find some discomfort, and I'll be pushed to evaluate integrated talent management system or talent review framework for the organization. Then I'll be pushed to evolve total well-being, and I'll have to do everything that you appear on, that you can see on the screen. So therefore, these things also cause some comfort. Okay, let's not talk about youngsters. The people at my age are people who are in the early 40s I'm sure that they realize what I'm speaking. So we are going to discuss this. Is HR a Fonda? Is IR a kind of a dimension which causes discomfort, or is HR a kind of it's an new animal which also causes discomfort? It's just Fonda. What is this? And how are we going to blend these two going forward to do justice to our roles, do justice to our profession? This is what the whole thing is going to be for next 90 minutes roughly. And thank you all. And now I'll leave it to Mr. Ravi to go ahead with next steps of proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your warming up ideas to discuss theme, background of theme. Now I request Monash Chandra Babu, who is MSW from DG Vaishnava, to introduce the moderator, and followed by other college students also will be introducing the panelists. Over to Monash.
Good evening to all our S2S members. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming our moderator, Vijay Kumar J. Vijay Kumar J comes with a versatile experience of 29 years in HR professional, covering pharma science, chemical, auto component and engineering sectors in association with brands like Pfizer, Strides Pharma Science, Rani, Brock Warners and Amaraj Batteries. His career trajectory for 13 years as business HR head and about 11 years as site HR lead gave him an opportunity to place a constructive role in various vertical sales, complaints, talent engagement, organizational redesigning, reconstruction, digitalization, and industrial relations, including strategical integration twice in career and greenfield setup thrice in career. He is currently the group of CHRO for ChemFab Group, which is into a chemical engineering and PVCO business. Prior to this, with the Strides Pharma and Pfizer in the capacity of HRH for India operations. He is a pro bono coach, a passionate career architect on assumption and development. Vijay is also passionate about launching career expansion with fast trackers. We welcome you, sir. And now I welcome our panel member, Ravi Kumar Prasad. Ravi Kumar is a site people experience lead for Pfizer PGS business unit at Chennai, in India and Perth, Australia. Ravi has about 12 years of work experience in HR with reputed organizations such as Pfizer and Rani. Ravi has a versatile career in HR and worked as HR generalist, HR business partner, compensation and benefits specialist, and HR operation partner. In his current role is a partner with business leaders to manage people's processes and interventions that will help sustain culture compensativeness in an even-changing business environment. He acts as the primary contact for employee relations, work with unions to ensure colleagues feels valued and commitment to the process of organization. In his previous role, he supported 13 countries in Asia as a HR operation business partner. He is a supported implementation of several HR technologies, outsourcing and organization redesign, intervention including site transitions. He played a significant role in getting place to work and HR excellence in an innovation recognition. We welcome you, sir.
Good evening all. Have a beautiful evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Myself Manjupriya, HR executive from Bharat FIH. It's a privilege to introduce Malini Sarunan ma'am. About her. Her professional experience is 24 years. She is working within
On the paper. Our final panelist, my good friend, Mr. S. Rajagopal. Rajagopal and myself did law in the year 1987-90. He is my classmate. And after that, he moved a company, CTIS, Nokia, Racing Star. And he is truly a IR turned HR professional, strong in IR, passionate of HR professional with a excellent balanced contribution to HR initiatives and IR, did play varieties of roles through his career. Human-oriented, he takes pride in allowing free hand to young fellows professionals, very passionate in knowledge sharing, and he is having strength of 14,000 employees. That's all. Over to my friend, Mr. Rajagopal. We welcome you. Thank you.
Good evening, all. Good evening. Good evening, all. Good evening, and let's get started off with the discussion. Today's theme is the human capital management. Is the dichotomy of HR a myth? Okay, let's discuss this. So still, when I was a student, I was wondering what is this HR, IR? When I attended the first interview after my first organization after 5 years, I was asked a question. Where are you good at, HR or IR? I didn't understand the question. So since then, I have been wondering for past almost 22, 23 years that what this dichotomy is, and I didn't get a right answer now. Oftentimes I feel that yes, we can do away with IR, we can do away with HR dichotomy, and we can have one HR, and which is possible. But at times of crisis, and we suddenly think of getting into the IR space, and we want to convert everybody as IR specialists. And when there is a need for change, when you really want your the so-called white-collar people to change or adopt a change, or to be with you for a change, suddenly we turn our orientation towards HR. We call so many consultants, and we'll talk to them to evolve OD initiatives and OB initiatives, and on and on and on. So therefore, this dichotomy has been appearing to be dying fast, but it's surging up suddenly. And dying fast, surging up suddenly. And to quote a few examples, the kind of IR issues that we have been seeing past 4 or 5 years in and around, Chennai industrial belts. Maybe I would like to take the names like Yamaha. We have seen Renault, Nissan, and of course Hyundai. It's calm now. Many companies, many big brands, they struggle for months together to settle the IR issues in. Has this been because there is a depth in IR skill, or has it been because the overall HR function, the human capital function, has been handled by somebody who doesn't understand IR? Has it been because the line management is little away from IR or doesn't understand IR? What is this? At the same time, when the organizations are at a stage where they need to really turn around or come out of the crisis, non-IR crisis, I would say. For example, your brands are fading out, your products are fading out, and you need to really scale up with innovation and R&D, and you need to really bring in new people, and you need to remove the inertia inside, and you need to go to places, and you need your people to sacrifice their jobs, and you need your people to allow the younger generation to come in. These are all different types of crises, non-IR crises. When we encounter these situations, where are we? Are we managing it rightly? So we have seen many companies that have lost their identities at all. Best is Nokia. I think my friend was there. Okay, it's not the India problem alone. It has been the problem alone. Okay, I don't mind taking the details, a little more in-depth details of Nokia, because Nokia ignored to build or to evolve the capability engine, in-house capability engine, right? And it has been thinking that, okay, the engine was running very fast and they parked the engine. The capability engine got literally parked aside. And maybe after 5 years or 7 years, it was too late. They realized that it's too late by the time somebody else took over. So therefore, that is another crisis, non-IR crisis and IR crisis. I mean, strategic crisis. So given these small stories of those brands that are located in and around our place, we would like to start off with the discussion. The first question to the panelists, maybe I'll start with Ms. Malini, that what is this human capital management, madam? Share your perspectives, and what is the holistic HR, the changing perspectives of HR management? Okay, we have been calling human capital management in my organization also, the previous organizations also. When we say human capital management, we ourselves used to laugh and crack jokes at what is this human capital management. What is this very capital? Tagging the human beings, the word capital itself looked at through different lenses, and people were not very comfortable. Even today, people are not comfortable. But we keep hearing. If you look at the leaders, the best of the leaders in HR in this country, maybe the best of the CEOs or the founders, the founder chairmen of the organization, they profusely use this word human capital management. And magazines, all your HR researchers, they throw this word left and right and center, human capital management. Of course, they have very deeper insight and well-meaning. They mean well when they say human capital management. But how the whole HR space is evolving in the recent past, madam?
Thank you, sir. Good evening to all of you. Let me share my perspective. See, it's as simple as the human capital management is if I have to say in a simpler, easier to understand word is people management, labor management, workforce management. These are all various terminology it's been called, as simple as it is. To again come back to the main topic, whether HR, IR is a dichotomy is a myth. Let me share my perspective. First, I'm sure all of you are aware, what is IR? It is primarily establishing relationship with the stakeholders, employees, the government officials, the union, if there is a union. Fourth, with the company, with the managers. That's how the IR. Second is HR. What is HR? It's managing human resource in an organization effectively. So primarily what I feel, IR is a subsect of, function of HR. This is how I call it. Like initially, Mr. Ravi Kumar was mentioning, initially it was called personnel management. Now, later on it changed as HR. So similarly, this IR will continue to be there. That is what I believe. Moving on, I always feel it is a complementary function, both HR and IR. It is, both are interdependent, interrelated, intertwined. It is as simple as if you have a recruitment function, compensation is a supporting and a complementary function, because unless you pay properly, you cannot attract the right talent. Similarly, retention and compensation. You can cite any different sub-function, it is always interrelated. Similarly, IR and HR is interrelated. The only difference what I feel is IR primarily it focuses on blue collar people and HR focuses on white collar people. This is how it is. But in today's context, I think people are the same. Everybody matters. Each one individual matters a lot. Generally, HR, what is the objective of HR department is the commonalities between HR and IR, I'm saying. Every issues related to people, whether it is employees or labor or workforce or workmen, whatever be it, whatever terminology they are called, the issues related to people are handled properly and take the organization to the next level. Small issues are to be taken care. Generally, people wanted their small issues to be taken care promptly, timely. And people wanted their problem to be solved. Generally, people don't have very big problems or very big issues. Very simple issues only they have, and they want it to be solved and it to be addressed or responded promptly, responsibly. Fourth, which I wanted to share is business. What is the purpose of business leaders in organization? They want to get things done through people. That is the employees, whether blue collar or white collar. For that, they wanted HR to add value in terms of process, systems, and whatever we have within the framework of our policies. We should have a proper things in place so that we take care of the people. And how do we customize our approach and how do we address all these problems and solve it? Both, I feel, HR and IR, both are primarily focused on three things, which is employee well-being, culture, and engagement. With this, I over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. And Mr. Padmakar, what do you think? What do you think how the face of HR, the holistic HR management face, how the face is getting changed in present?
Yeah. So as ma'am also shared, and in the beginning itself, Mr. Ravi Kumar told that initially it was personal management. Before that also, if we see when organization, the importance of these MBA institutes getting evolved, and then when students were getting passed out from MBA institutes, they were taught what is HR, what is IR, what is difference between personal management, what is HRD, And then when they came into the business, the industries, then this dichotomy started that what is IR, what is HR, people, I mean students, they used to put their preference that, okay, I'll be taking up in HR, my career in HR, or some people will say that I will be taking up my career in IR. Mostly the MSW people, those who get qualification in MSW, they used to prefer IR, and those who are coming from top institutes, the MBA institutes, they used to prefer HR. Mostly in corporate sectors, at corporate offices, this HR got predominance, and then slightly over the year, now with the onslaught of liberalization, gradually, if you see around 2000, between 2000 to 2010 or around 2020, 14, 15, this IR, because of the liberalization policies and many multinationals coming to India, this got little subsided, the IR issues, and then workmen, as Mr. Vijay Kumar also told. So IR got dominance and HR got dominance and IR got little subsided. But in last 4-5 incident in Gurgaon and then here, the Mr. Vijay Kumar told that Yamaha and some other institutions told Nirla Carbon only that in one of the wage negotiation, the workmen union, their president told that they should also be involved in various knowledge integration programs, then visit various industry visits, then they should be involved in various kind of committees for improvement in plant, in departments. So these demands were coming from them, and these are nothing but the HR, the developmental part of people, the developmental part of workmen. So this is how the development of or evolving HR and IR simultaneously side by side in these days. That's my view, sir.
Thank you. And Chaya, would you like to share any perspective how the face of human capital management is evolving?
Sure. So, in my view, and I second a lot of what ma'am and sir has said, is one part, of course, is how HR has evolved today to be a more strategic function. And, starting from the days where HR was looked at as a purely administrative function, today we're talking about understanding the business, speaking the language of the business. How are you adding value to the business? Now, that is the importance that HR has taken on these days. And today, and honestly, taking a step back, to me, even when I started studying, I did not view HR and IR as separate functions. To me, they were a part of the same jigsaw puzzle, and one without the other meant that the puzzle was incomplete. And that's how I primarily viewed HR. And today, if we are also talking about T-shaped intelligences and I-shaped intelligence, if I want to be an HR head, do I want to just specialize and stick to being an IR expert, or do I want to just do OB and be a talent management professional? I don't think so. I view myself, or I'm sure any aspiring HR professional would want to dip their hands into a little bit of everything, so that tomorrow when they become an HR head, they have flavor. So I would say some of the evolving, how the function is evolving, or some of the competencies that are required are also about change management, learning agility, and all of this is, I think, part of the same coin.
Wonderful, thank you. And Raj, your views of how the face of human capital management is evolving?
Sure. Hey, good evening all. First of all, I would like to say human capital management is a broader umbrella term where IR, ER, HR all are subsets. Human capital is a everlasting resource. We have to replenish, and that is the only thing which adds, multiplies in multiple times. So that's how the term comes in. I would just say, take a step back and just say, we are talking from supply side, that HR professional side. Let's see from employee's perspective. Their profile has changed. Let us take the statistics. 2025, old man like me and other few, we will not be there in employment anymore. The professional set of people 46 to 70% will be 25 to 30 years old. One. So their expectations are going to be completely different. Their skill sets are different. Their expectations are different. Many of the parents would know our own children don't listen to us. They will not listen to third party, whether it is union, whether it is management. So dialoguing, listening, grievance address, all these things become part of HR profession. That is their expectation. As you rightly said, dialoguing, immediately grievance, I want that to be solved. If you want my promotion, yeah, tomorrow, give me the letter. Or Ravi Kumar said, 7 months old. That guy goes. So this is the status. So from supply side, it will say, employee relations are IR guys who has a flavor, who has done a lot of settlements, worked with unions. We had different adversaries, not partners earlier. Trade union was seen as a rival, then it evolved. Knowledge levels of union leaders have gone up, their discussion methods have changed. They are no more political union leaders. There are qualified people. So a ER professional who are really qualified in HR systems and HR domain knowledge. A successful ER person need to be organizational behavior expert, team dynamics, power, influence, stress, all these things. This person has to be necessarily be a strong expert. Likewise, an HR person has to be very strong with lex loci, that is law of the land. Many of the young forum, still I find Google search, what is the percentage of PF contribution? I think that's the problem. If they don't want to just set their hands, wet their hands in the knowledge, they will not be a good HR professional as well as IR professional. So this is the expectation from demand side, be it management, be it our stakeholders, major stakeholders, employees. So that's where I don't see a dichotomy. You have to be ambivalent. That's what I would say, sir. Thank you.
Ravi.
Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. I echo the thoughts of all of our panel members here. I come from an organization where HR has been rechristened as people experience. Like Rajagopalan sir said, we are today focusing on how we can engage colleagues to the maximum extent. Right? We are looking at moments that matter for colleagues. When a colleague joins the company, when a colleague gets promoted, when something happens in the colleague's family, when he becomes a father, when he gets married, when a colleague leaves an organization, when there is a bereavement in his family, how do we support our colleague? When there is a maternity for a colleague, how do we support her? We also look at it from the experience of colleagues who are unionized and non-unionized. How do we make colleagues feel that we are a fair employer? From an industrial relations or employee relations perspective, right, the new age HR that I'm experiencing in my company says that you have to treat every colleague with fairness and respect and ensure that they feel that we are equitable, right? So also from a union perspective, colleagues who are unionized, we look at it from their experience. Look at it from an experience perspective and add value to them. Think about what your organization needs, how you can deliver that by making sure that your employees also feel valued in the journey. Now that's the new HR that I am experiencing today.
Wonderful, Ravi, thank you. And another subset of questions. Another subset of this question is, for a moment, let us assume that this so-called dichotomy of HR, I am HR specialist, I am IR specialist. Let's assume that this dichotomy exists. And what amount of autonomy these two verticals experience, as well as what amount of bottleneck these two verticals experience today, because they are two different specialities. What amount of autonomy they enjoy and experience, and what amount of bottlenecks these two verticals enjoy and experience, because these two are very different specialities under one umbrella of human capital management. Any views? I'll leave the forum open to anyone can share your thoughts.
I will share in a lighter tone the differences the IR people are managed by HR people, as simple as it is. Generally, in some of the companies, HR will be a separate department, IR will be a separate department. That is how this whole dichotomy, it permeates, enters into our mind, and it is becomes very strong. And people generally think, okay, I have to be thorough on labor laws, statutory, to become an IR expert. Actually, even if you have to be an HR specialist, you have to be thorough about all compliances, legal related. These are very crucial thing actually. But general perception is only IR person should be aware of this. And generally, sometimes I feel people who handle IR, they have a little kind of a low self-esteem. I handle labor, I handle people who are not more educated. But actually, it is not the question of whom we handle actually. How we handle, it's like Mr. Raj was mentioning, fairness matters. Every individual in the organization matters a lot, and they contribute for the overall accomplishment of the goal. So I think it is important that the professional, be it HR, IR, they should feel proud about whatever they do, feel confident about whatever they do. The commonality between both is, both need to be agile. See, there is one dichotomy in this agility also. Company build a lot of, like HR professionals build a lot of systems and process, procedures, guidelines, policies to ensure that everything is in place. There is a standardized method, there's a way, there's a structure. But when the question of agility comes into the question, I think they have to be more fluid, more flexibility, more adaptability, quick in responding to the situation, what that situation demands. I think that is the dichotomy. You have to be standardized, you have to be agile and quick, and then be flexible also based on the situation. With this, I hand over.
Slightly differing. In the sense, we are talking about the autonomy between HR and IR, right? So even within HR, at least in the organizations, last few organizations I worked, we have a reward specialist or a comp and bench specialist. We have a talent acquisition specialist. So, and then we have an IR specialist or an ER specialist. So I don't see just a question of autonomy between HR versus IR. I see a lot of people, if we have to debate, it would be the dichotomy, the autonomy for a reward specialist versus an IR specialist, the autonomy between the TAC person, the talent acquisitions person, and IR. So why is the debate HR versus IR when there is so much more under HR is like one of the fundamental questions that I always grapple with. Just a different point of view.
Just to add on what she was saying, generally, as I again am emphasizing on it, most companies, larger companies, they have an exclusive department for HR, exclusive department for IR, so they will function independently. Most of the multinational companies are like that. Even I had worked in such companies, so it's totally different. In that context only, I think people started, and moreover, when you operate from corporate office, people are looked at as HR professionals. When you operate from factories, it is IR experts. That's how also the demarcation comes in. And adding on what you were saying, I think each HR person should, it is like, I think in all the factories and companies, you have a CFT, cross-functional teams. Similarly, the HR professional should have the cross-functional expertise, in all the areas, sub-functions of HR. Then only they can, it's not for survival, it's for sustaining for the future, they have to know all the functions. Thank you.
Yeah, may I add? We will have to look at it in a different perspective. IR is an external looking or outward looking function, which has a lot of outstep in your industrial relations. I'm sure Vikramasinghapuram, he has done a lot of wonders on that, and his predecessor has created a lot of opportunities for him. So, whereas the HR person works internally, inward looking, mostly resource specific. Whereas my IR guys, whether we like it or not, it's a power centric game. Most of the IR managers, if you look at it, I have a lot of respect for you guys, but still, let me tell you, they try to hold certain things with him. Operations manager listens to IR rather than HR. Is it not? Okay, I made that. I enjoyed that. Then I realized this power game doesn't help. They are waiting for an opportunity. HR professionals will say, when the compensation benefit times comes, revision comes, they take good leap on us actually. So that's where we have a problem. You specialize, but if you don't have other function complementary, as he rightly said, if you don't complement yourself, if you don't take a job switch, step in his shoes, see, this dichotomy will even more complicate the profession. And if the HR professionals are not willing to take the dip into IR, that's not a great sign.
Just adding my perspective over here on what we are seeing in many organizations now, where the function is evolving faster. We don't see a dichotomy between HR and IR. In my company and in few other companies that I have benchmarked on practices, because we were looking at optimizing the HR function, what we see is we have, like Chaya mentioned, we have subject matter experts who I go and consult. But for someone to become a HR leader of an organization, they have to be versatile. They have to be versatile, like most of the panel members over here. All of you have versatile experience. You have managed organization development interventions, HR, IR, both external facing as well as internal facing stakeholders. And in the new age HR that we are seeing, a HR professional is expected to manage all the stakeholders. One of the key competencies for you is leadership and navigation and stakeholder management, which means you have to understand who the power centers are in the organization, who the power centers are outside the organization who will have influence on your business, and work with them, manage relationship with them, and deliver value to the business. So that's how it is evolving. So here, when it comes to autonomy, we have autonomy to do anything. If we have doubt, we always have the subject matter experts to whom we can reach out and get clarifications. But what is required for each one of us, if we are still an IR specialist or HR specialist, is to take that leap of faith and just plunge, have that experience. Because if we do not have that experience, we are not going to grow as HR leaders. We will be stuck to one vertical, and that vertical may not be valued in the future. My perspective.
Yeah, directly coming to this word autonomy. So in my views, whether it is HR or how we proceed in HR, we proceed in HR in a planned manner. Similarly, if we proceed in IR also in planned manner, make relationships and have trust on people and move in a very planned and measured manner, then we will not face any kind of IR issue and we will not face any kind of autonomy issues. That's my view.
Thank you. Now I have a specific set of questions to both these young professionals here. How enabling the legal knowledge for the so-called, for a moment, let us assume that these two things exist, HR specialty, IR specialty. Assume that you both are, imagine you both are HR specialists. You have been doing a lot of OB, OD, less of IR. And how enabling and enhancing would the expecting the unexpectedness, for example, facing a crowd, unexpected crowd, or an unruly mob, will these experiences clubbed with the legal experience or hands-on legal, for example, drafting notices, charge sheet, and representing a case before the legal experts, and building a nice, the IR case on the legal platform. How far this will enable you?
I will take this question. A very interesting question, and thanks for asking this. Now, for me as a HR professional, I have had versatile experiences, but what I lack is this experience of managing external stakeholders. And that's the experience which stopped me from getting better opportunities to grow, because I don't have experience in, let us say, managing large unions. I don't have experience working with union leaders outside the organization. I have worked as a subordinate, a team member, and contributed to settlement discussions and all of that, but I haven't faced it directly, right? That's the experience which is stopping me from, growing in my role. So it's a realization that I have that I should not shy away from these experiences. Now I am, in my career, I'm asking for these experiences. Let me go and face this litigation and get that expertise. That experience is definitely, important for me to grow. Let me go and work in a factory where we have, a couple of unions. Let me work there. Let me get the experience. Let me understand how it is possible for me to, face it. Let me face the challenge and grow myself. It is very important. Talking about the knowledge of labor laws, it is again very important. For example, in our country, we have Industrial Disputes Act, which tells us how to manage a grievance or a dispute that happens in an organization. How do you go ahead with collective bargaining? You have Taylor Trade Union Act, which talks about it. Unless we have a knowledge of all of these legal aspects, we will not be able to do the right thing when we face those situations. Similarly, I'm supporting Australia. Like Industrial Disputes Acts in India, we have a Fair Work Act over there. It's a new experience for me, but I had to learn Fair Work Act because I might do something wrong, which may not be legally compliant in Australia otherwise. Be it a HR professional or a IR professional, it is important for us to, be flexible, have that learning agility, as Chaya pointed out, and, get these experiences and learn labor laws as well, which is important for us.
Well, thank you.
So I have something very similar to add on, similar to what Ravi said, and possibly the relatively younger HR professionals would all say the same, that our legal knowledge or our exposure to IRS is not, as much as we would have desired. And that's a regret. So at this stage in my career, what I am looking forward to is that experience in IR, so that it will mold me into a better HR professional. And even as an HR professional, I cannot discount the importance of legal knowledge or the ER-IR laws, because as an HR professional today, we are faced with so much of change management. I mean, separation or redundancies or an employee absconding, or, there are so many cases where that, not having the desired legal knowledge could be quite suicidal, I would say. So definitely this is an important area for all of us.
Thanks, Chaya. Yeah, please.
Just to add on to Chaya and Ravi. Generally, in our work profile, 50% we already know, we are aware of what we have to do. 50%, it's a thumb rule, I'm just saying. 50% we don't know how it should be done. It's a new thing that we will be handling. The first thing is that we should not have any kind of a low feeling. I don't know, but I will learn, I will do. That's the spirit. Second, before you meet up any legal professionals, advocates, or go to any court, I think you should be thorough you should be very prepared. You should be thorough in whatever case, whatever issue that you are dealing with. Third, sometimes, like Mr. Vijay Kumar sir was mentioning, sometimes we face unexpected things. Suddenly you have to face unruly people or those kind of different issues. I think the best way is to be patient and listen to them, and how to mitigate or ease out that situation. I think that matters a lot, just to add.
Thank you. Yes.
On the other side, that's the thing. From IR practitioners, we also did the same thing actually. I don't need a mic anyway.
I have a specific question to ask on that.
Actually, it's about us. We were basically IR practitioners and we are from factory. Both of us took an exam. I'm fine. I think, can you hear me? YouTube live. Yep. For YouTube live. Oh, fair enough. Okay, we are on live. Okay. Despite being IR practitioners, we had to just qualify ourselves in HR. We had to do some certifications. We learned like you, Landam Griffin Act, Tuft-Hartley Act. Vijay, do you remember that? HRM SCP certification. We went through 30 hours of study. I went to school, business school, along with my kid. 45 years old, we went to MDA Gurgaon. So that's how I learned. Otherwise, it will be challenging. You guys are there, knocking at our doors. OD interventions. So that gave us a real boost so that I could explore knowledge-based industry. That gives us a completeness. So it's not only legal knowledge, it's also about your domain HR subsets.
Yeah,
so that's where we challenged ourselves.
I have a very long question on the same thing. This question to Mr. Padmakar and you, Raj. Assume that you both have, not old, You both have been through lots of IR in your career for 15 years and 20 years. And when you look back, and obviously you would have, though you may not tell openly, you would have recognized that a few failures here and there. Because as an IR person, we generally believe in law and some legal opinion and the past precedents set by our predecessors and our own tactics of retaliating the arm twisting, our own tactics of dealing the tit for tat stuff like that. Okay. And if you look back, do you ever realize that we missed to learn and apply the wonderful behavioral theories? Like I'll read out a few theories like the big model of personality and locus of control, and the self-esteem theories and job satisfaction theories, commitment theories. The core OB, the organizational behavior, concepts like perceptions, attributions, motivation, halo effect, psychological contract, and the stress, as well as the Belbin, the psychometric instruments like understanding people through Belbin, DISC, and MBTI, on and on and on. Have you ever looked back and realized that, oh God, I should have picked up a lot of behavioral theory, or I should have learned a lot of behavioral constructs, strong concepts, and would have applied. Had I done that, I would have evolved a better results, or I would have delivered, I would have packaged the solutions in a very, very different fashion, rather than dealing IR as a raw IR, right? Have you ever realized this question to you, both veterans?
Yeah. What you told, sir, what are the concepts and theories, what you have mentioned, all those theories gives us insight to identify, to understand people in a better manner. Whether it is MBTI, whether it is big personality concept, ocean. So all these things, if we know, and if we know about these concepts, and while talking to people, while talking to union, or while talking to workmen or any other person, if we keep these things in these concepts in our subconscious mind, and then we deal with them, definitely it gives a different kind of perspective rather than dealing raw with them without keeping all these theories or concepts in our subconscious mind. So definitely it helps. And with my experience of last 20 years, I would definitely say that yes, the way we have dealt people in our early, I mean, if in my early days also, in my early days of my career, had I been gone through the concepts of all these theories, definitely I would have dealt in a very different manner.
Wonderful, wonderful. Raj, anything to share?
Yeah, a lot of failures, I think, that taught us.
Can you quote a few instances of dealing IR and where there was a rambling around, and then you look back and think that, okay, I could have applied this way of looking things?
Yeah. Initial phase, I would say, core IR. I am a legalistic person. I had a law degree. So I used to go and tell. I have put a 9A notice, Industrial Dispute Act 9A notice. Many of you know, notice have changed. 21 days after that, I will do this. You should not use this gate. You will not be given a potlam of Kara Shev in my earlier industry. I put a notice. 22nd day, everybody is sitting outside. I learned wrong way. First, you will have to have dialogue. You will have to communicate, really communicate, and you should win together. My union leaders, I made them look like buffoons. By putting a notice, I have put a notice. But on 22nd day, everybody was sitting outside. This was one failure. Later, on a different note, on a different company, after my business management degree, where ocean theory, your personality concepts, all I learned, we will have to treat people as partners. Everybody wants to be treated like you. Even though they are younger, they are not educated, they are not well paid, we treated each well. Then we were able to do a lot of things, miraculous things. Madura courts I was able to go. My predecessor did extremely well. Let me tell you, all the assessments they signed was much better. I was not able to crack. Then I said, let the leaders look better. Let us take it together. That's how we went. These are, yeah, from my failures also learned, and the concepts really helped us.
So when you look back, you realize that, okay, I could have applied a lot of this behavioral science theory.
Had I done, I mean, yeah, had I graduated from MAHRM from TIS, that would have been much better, little earlier.
It's an excuse. It appears to be an excuse. I'm sorry. Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks, Raj.
Let me add one real experience which I underwent. See, I believe in three things. One, sometimes you would get education and then you start your career. That is one model. But important model is when you're working, I think use every opportunity that you get in the organization. Third is you yourself invest on yourself for enhancing your knowledge, your capability by undergoing courses like Sir said, or attending such forums like this S2S Forum. I'll give you one example. In one of my earlier company, I was nominated for one program, 7 days programs organized by McKinsey. It's called STEPS, Strategic Thinking Enhancement Through Problem Solving. From that, I understood when we look at any issues or any problems, generally we jump into the conclusion. That's how we are all tuned to it. That program made me to understand, first we need to understand, define the problem. What exactly is the problem? Generally, if you introspect what are the issues that you face in your current company, current role, actually the problem is something, but we don't define the exact problem. So that I understood. Then moving on, with this as an example, I was having almost 4 hours of discussion with my boss in the same company, where one of the issue we discussed was about attrition, retention, what are the issues why people leave. Then we identified what are the issues, then we prioritized 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the top reasons for people who leave. Then one of the thought process which we brought in was retention bonus. Like in the beginning, ChemFab, they were explaining about long service award. Generally, we all know long service award is for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. But we brought in for 3 years, 5 years and all. So actually, we have to bring solutions which is realistic, which is required for the business, for the company specific. Thank you.
Thank you. And any other perspectives? No? Okay, I have a very, very funny question to these youngsters again, then we veterans will follow them. What is this IR and ER? Some of the organizations say employee relations, somewhere industrial relations. Are these two are same, or is there a difference in functionality, or it's a glamorized name for IR as ER? Do the IR, the ER professionals do their job understanding that this is very similar to IR? What is what is the real thing?
I can go first. And before I start, I just want to say that Vijay sir is my favorite person today because he's called us young so many times, and it's been such a long time since I heard that. So thank you, sir. And second is between IR and So for me, IR and ER, I think it also depends upon the industry that we come from. So today I'm working in AstraZeneca within an IT organization, and so the person who handles IR is called ER. So we don't have a union as such, but then a lot of activities are similar. So he's called ER, but within the factory, the person is called an IR. So I think a large part of it also depends upon the nature of the sector or the nature of the industry. That's my preliminary take on that.
Similar views to what Chaya said. My own experience, we don't call it ER, IR. We have ER specialist. HR handles ER and IR. They just act as a sounding board. See if I'm doing the right thing and give their advice. And then I get to decide. I have to decide. They don't give me solution. They guide me and then I have to decide. Similarly, in IR situations, when I have a challenging situation where I need some guidance on, how do I handle an external union? How do I handle a challenge with the government authority? I go to veterans. I consult leaders like Vijay sir to know what do I do in this situation? This is what I'm thinking. Am I thinking the right way? I consult them and I take that. It is just the terminology that we're talking about, industrial relations, employee relations, it's fading away. In my company, we don't have that terminology at all. And similarly, in many organizations, we don't have the terminology now.
we have 1 or 2 colleagues globally who would be acting as subject matter experts who are available for you to consult when you need support. But everything is managed by HR, where we do not have the dichotomy that we are discussing today.
Thank you. And when I was interacting with a few seniors, much more seniors to me on the same thing, they shared the perspective is IR is something you orient towards a group. ER is something that you orient towards an individual. In the new generation organizations, the so-called, the grievances, the gaps, the perceived breach of contract or understanding is highly individualized. So there cannot be a group approach from employee's side. So therefore, ER is a customized IR version of, highly tweaked to deal the individualized issues. So that's one perspective. So I would like to invite the veterans to share their views. This is what I understood. So is this the same or do you have some different views?
I agree, sir. Let me share one example. It was if I have to define both IR and ER, there are two probable objectives. One is to implement the benefits, administer the benefits of employees, both IR or ER, both. The second is to foresee what are the things that is required. That is second. Third is to instantly evolve solutions for potential issues. I'm just giving you some couple of examples. So in one of the earlier companies where I worked, we used to have a speed gate. Like in malls and all you had seen, only when you are in, if you go to metro and all you will find, only if you press, the gate will open. So when such is the kind of an office workspace, we noticed one woman was on a family way. It is very difficult for her to undergo this kind of a pass. So the ER experts should, the people should understand, okay, for this person we should give access so that the normal route that person can travel. That is one solution. In terms of IR, again I'm bringing back the women issue. I have seen some welders and all women welders working in factories. Sometimes when they are on a family way, or men who undergo some kind of a surgery in their leg. So during those periods, those 1 year or 6 months or 2 months, they are being reshuffled or shifted to different department, different role temporarily. So this is how I think IR and ER experts should provide solution for business requirement and people needs.
Yeah, my perspective, like what you told, ER is more individualistic, whereas IR is whenever we say this terminology IR, so the imagination comes in our mind is that, okay, we have to deal with some group, we have to deal with some union kind of thing, the stakeholders kind of thing. The difference between these two is that ER focuses more on building trust, building relationship with individuals, employees, like that. Whereas what Mr. Vijay Kumar told in the beginning itself, that the moment this IR issue or IR terminology comes in mind, we feel some kind of discomfort. That discomfort is not when we talk about ER. So it is more towards building relationship, whereas IR is more towards solving some issue kind of thing. That's my perspective.
Thank you. And I have this question to Raj, then we'll come to Ms. Malini. IR management, I mean industrial relations management versus the fear factor will lead to wrong decisions. IR management versus fear factor, or clubbed with fear factor or blended with fear factor, will lead to wrong decisions. Your experiences. First of all, what is fear factor? Does it, have you experienced the fear factor playing in any of the organizations with the leadership? I don't mean that fear factor is with HR professionals alone. Ultimately, all the issues will have to be tabled before the leadership for want of, the decision either to go with option 1 or 2 or 3. And this plus that always lead to wrong decisions and disaster. Your views?
Very true. Actually, I would just say power imbalance. That's what it starts with actually. Power imbalance between stakeholders, two stakeholders, employees as well as the management. The IR managers basically take a step like that actually. The unions thrive just because they don't have people who can talk for themselves. Now that is evolving. There are people, especially knowledge industries, they represent themselves. Employee relations. That's where the employee relations comes in. Whereas based on representatives. They may be inside, they may be external. They don't understand the industry. So the power shifts there. The clear fact, name the organization. There are popular HR managers who have given X immediately and put the organization into danger.
Nothing wrong in guarding the interest of the organization, nothing wrong in being precaution. When I say the fear factor, a little over-fearing, scaring more than what it is required. Padmakar, your views on that? The fear factor leading to disaster or failure in IR management.
I did not had any such kind of experience.
Okay, I have another question to you.
Yeah.
I'll make a statement and you have to, you can share your views on the statement. The statement what I'm going to make is, the power balance in IR is going to differ, power balance, when I say the power balance between the company as well as the employees or a group of employee representatives. The power balance, the game of power balancing is going to define the fate of the organization for decades to come in a factory scenario. The game of power balancing is going to define the fate of the organization for decades to come in a factory setup. Your views?
I don't agree with this, the game of power balance, because again I would say that if we move in a planned manner and if we provide all the facilities, this again as a preventive measure, we have to foresee that how things are changing in and around us, how things are changing. We should have maintained a good relationship with the members of the union or the workmen, and then on frequent basis, time to time, we should get information that what is going on that side and what kind of things are getting discussed among them, what is happening in and around my business or in my geography, in my locality, and prepare our strategy accordingly. So, and what best possible under what the previously we talked autonomy, so discuss with management and already provide those kind of things. So the game of power balance does not arise. So that's my view. In my previous organizations, we have done this, and we had to the extent that we were not having the wage negotiations with employees, workmen. They had agreed for what we do for management and staff cadre, the performance management, the bell curve. We had implemented bell curve for workmen also, and then they were readily accepting because we were not doing any kind of discrimination between staff and management cadre, and in terms of as long as facilities and the consideration is considered. So that's how, in my view, these power balance or imbalance can be avoided.
It's not a concern at all. That's
yeah, in my view.
You have any different views, Raj? You already told, Ms. Malini, the power balancing in IR scenario, the imbalanced power management between IR as well as, for example, if the union is put to yield to the power of all sorts of power, the power with authority, power of support of government, or power of money, or power of shifting the entire factory to some other location. These are all the powers that the leadership assume that an organization is ready to play with all these power factors. It's going to put the union in a very, very subdued or yielded condition. So this condition will define the fate of the organization for next 30 years. So whatever you say is going to happen in the organization, whatever change you are trying to impose will happen. Otherwise, vice versa. When the leadership yields to the power game or the pressure tactics of the organization. For example, if they give you a strike notice and you don't have an alternate facilities or you don't have an alternate manufacturing base to divert your production, so obviously you'll have to fulfill your to fulfill the customer commitment. You'll have to run the production then and there itself, and you'll have to compromise. So this very yielding of the management of the organization for the kind of pressure or the power applied by the organization is going to define the fate of the organization for 30 years, next 30 years, 3 decades, 2 decades, or 3 decades. So how do you see this?
To begin with, I think the employees, be it workforce or the white collar jobs, people, they should first understand what is the turnover of the company, what is the profit, what is the net profit, how the business functions. I think that is a fundamental thing. I think the top management every year, or I would say periodically, they should address to all the workers also and communicate this. I would go with the kind of a foreseeing way rather than to, face the repercussion and suffer. I think the organization have to be more proactive. That is one. Second, the HR person or the people who are in the leadership level, they should have personal credibility. I think that is one key important aspects of any individual. The trade unions or the association or the workers or the management, they should depend or rely on this HR person. Okay, I can rely on this person is authentic, credible. I think that is a very crucial aspect of HR function or IR function. Third, sometimes the company, the management has to succumb to the requirement or the demands of the employees or the union. It may cost probably, I think we should look at it per person cost. Instead of looking at large, it's as simple as giving, okay, extra 2 apples. The problem comes with that for either puja, as simple as 2 apples extra. If it is reduced, that has an impact. Or 250 grams or 500 grams of sweets, that makes a difference. That is one. And coming in terms of trade union or the association or the workers, I think time and now, I think we should not go to an issue of the problem of power imbalance. Before that, I think frequent dialogue, conversation should be held by the employee, the workers, and the HR person. And more importantly, connecting IR and ER, every IR person should play a kind of an HR role also. The leadership development of the supervisor plays a significant role. If the supervisor or the team leader of that particular section, they are smart enough, they are more reliable or dependable, or they communicate the issues timely to the HR person or IR person, there we can easily solve the issues. Generally, when issues are not addressed timely, it aggravates and leads to such situation. And lastly, to answer to your question, if company wanted to do some kind of a thing like they wanted to shift, I think it's a business call they take to, do that within the confinement of the labor laws that we have. That's how I.
Thank you. Okay, what I heard from this group is the industry needs very, very competent and very brilliant and shrewd people willingly coming and doing IR, right? And knowing more of IR will help any human capital management professional. That's the comment. But I have come across many, mid-level managers, okay, people of our generation, 20 plus years of experience. They speak very differently, but people like Ravi and Chaya and people who are in late 30s, when I interacted with them, there is a general belief that, okay, bright people, I would say bright people who passed out from premier institutes and they are doing good in their career. When I interacted with them and told them, you should have been in IR, so that you should have provided a very candid proposal, or you should have been a wonderful partner to the strategic boardroom. Because you speak a lot of the developmental human resources management piece, and blended with, had you been into IR actions, you would have been a wonderful choice for the industry. The response what I used to get from them has been, by and large, I don't want to say 100%, 60-70% of the people used to say that though they have not experienced, they have been shared by the experiences of their seniors and colleagues. Even the parents also used to tell them that, IR is a risky job, and always IR people will be under threat of life when there is a crisis. Find an IR no professional to scapegoat for anything that goes wrong. And IR fellows are forced to play victims always, and they are forced to play culprits. And so this is what on and I keep hear from the majority of the wonderful, the so-called developmental HR professionals. When I threw a question at them that why did you not get into IR, the core IR game? And is this a myth or is this a reality, or how to manage this? And how effective our CHROs have been in mitigating this so-called belief? My question to these two youngsters first, then I'll come to the veterans. Yes. Did you understand the question?
I think so. One thing is, you're partly right. I agree with you. One of the reasons, even when I started with my career, I always thought IR is probably a risky function. And in fact, one of my favorite professors in college, he was heading Asian Paints as HR, and he started off with an IR. It was at that time where, in the 80s and all, where things were a little volatile. And he was beaten up, and he still has one eye which is like kind of black. And so I always viewed it as risky and not so attractive as well. Because even when you look at textbooks in your MBA colleges, look at your HR textbook and look at your IR textbook over that IR today needs as well, so that the younger generation looks at it very differently. And today, after putting in more than 10 years of HR experience, I know that I missed out a critical element. But when I started off, I thought about IR exactly as you mentioned.
Echo the thoughts of thoughts that Chaya shared. Even in my experience when I started my career, I have had eminent IR professionals talk to me and cherish the scars that they were having, saying, in this incident I had to stop someone from hacking me, and then I have this wound, and then someone showing a scare that they had, and someone talking about being garrowed and how they managed to come out of it with all the influence that they had, and someone talking about how they had to be with their leadership team in the office for more than 2 days because there was a strike that was going out and there was risk to people's life, etc. So all of this were scary stuff that we heard when we were students and at the early stages of our career. So we always played the role of backroom support when it came to IR matters, working on the documentation part of it, probably creating presentations on IR strategy, helping them with IR strategy, but not actively getting on the game of having conversations with leaders. But we have also had leaders, Vijay sir was my mentor, and we have also had leaders like him who took us to meet union leaders, like Kalan, like Sundarajan. Many young HR professionals are scared of getting into IR because they see it as a different ballgame altogether, where there is more risk compared to being about the Pricol incident that we have had, and many other unions that came up. All of these scared students and scared young professionals from getting into IR, which is very, very true. But the reality is, in every job, we have challenges. It's about having that courage to, face it and also have plans in place. So for
going to give comfort to this, jump in and come proactively and play and get exposed and be hands-on in IR for some time at least, so that when they grow to the level of draft your charge sheet and they will not go by the suggestions and opinions of the best of the advocates in the country. So what kind of comfort you are going to give to the next generation to shield them from the threats and to expose them in a safe manner into hands-on of IR? Yeah. Three veterans. Anyone? Yes.
Yeah. So I'll start.
So my question is clear.
Clear. So what you told, that how to groom of IR, and then that will help them when they grow in their career. So in my view, if we are hiring from a premier institution, then we may have to show them their career, that career path, how they are going, how they are progressing in their career in the organization. And if we show them, okay, for 2 years, 3 years, you get initial experience in different sections of HR, what initially Chaya told, that compensation, then training and learning and development, then IR, then other areas. So give him some kind of exposure. Okay, for next 2 years you will be handling this, another 2 years you will be handling this, another 2 years or 3 years you will be handling this, so that it will be part of grooming of your career in HR and IR in the organization, so that when you reach at the top after 10 years, 12 years or 15 years, then all the areas in wherever you have gained experience, this will help you to make in your decision making, to make you a better HR professional. So if you are able to show them this kind of career path, definitely they will be readily accepting those roles. This is for premier, newcomers coming out from premier institutions. For others, if they do not have choice, then whatever you give them, they will continue to do though. But yes, the young talents from premier institutions, if you have to keep them, if you have to give them IR role, you may have to give them, show them career path. That's my perspective.
Just to add on what others have said, when it comes to risk, I think both IR and HR, both experts, they have the risk in their job. It's how do you handle matters a lot. I think a crucial thing is putting systems, structure, process, guidelines in place. Just to make my point more simpler, if somebody comes drunk to the factory, how do you deal with it? You have a clear standing order, you have a clear cut procedure, process that takes care of how to handle this issue. I think there ends a problem. Instead, you put your emotions into it and you speak something differently, there a problem begins actually. So crucial, important factor for a HR professional is to deal with it with a lot of balance in emotions and proper communication. Third, should have empathy when you deal with people. Even if you have to terminate some, be it a workforce or a white-collar employees, I think it is important that you should put the facts and data properly and say why this is happening, not only to that individual. Before that, I think it is important to communicate the supervisor, the team leader, and say what are the issues involved. Look at it objectively rather than emotionally, and to deal with it with a lot of empathy. For me, I always believe it's not people who leave, they are in touch with me saying hello. It's also people who might terminate them, they also say and come back and say hello back to me. I think that's a difference HR and IR person makes it to the people when we deal with people. Thank you.
Thank you. And, yes, you have something.
Yeah, finally. First thing.
Be specific with your answer. As CHRO,
exactly.
What kind of shielding and protection and comfort you are going to give to attract the brightest of the HR young professionals into IR space and experience, and that should be a mutually rewarding experience for organization as well as for the individual.
True. First thing, make the compensation equal. IR managers get low. On a lighter note, yeah. See, other things being equal, Murugappa does this. IR managers take a switch, they do HR job. Likewise, it's to be mandatory that even a management trainee should undergo shop floor training. Talk to people, get this done. Most of the people are comfortable just because you assign them back office job. Excel, good at Excel, make PowerPoint presentation. We do this the mistake. We encourage them. There are people from XLRI who have come and spoke to us how to handle a Garo. He gave tips, 5 points. I will sit down. I will listen to them. I will take a notebook. I will write it down, whatever we say. This kind of involvement flows from the organizational culture as well as personal credibility of CHRO. If he respects them, they will roll up their sleeves, they will do this. Otherwise, they will do extreme presentation, be ready for the next move.
Wonderful. And with this, we'll move to the one HR. Now we have been talking a lot of IR. One last question to Mr. Ravi and Chaya, because I think this question is, will you be prepared to send your daughter or son to a bright engineer? Assume that your son, 10 years from now or daughter 10 years from now, is graduating from a very good mechanical engineering school, and she got an opportunity to work with a manufacturing company as a shift supervisor. Will you be able to send somewhere, anywhere in India, or she gets a similar opportunity in, you deal with Australia, you deal with US. Will you be prepared to send her there all over to those places 10,000 miles away from here as night shift supervisor? And why, if your answers are yes for both, I have nothing to ask, or no for both, you need to explain, or yes and no, or no and yes, you need to explain why, please. You understand?
To that question, my answer would be, I would not be imposing my decision on my daughter. It's going to be her choice. And at that point in time, depending upon the comfort that we give to women colleagues is what is going to matter, right? Today we're talking a lot about diversity and inclusivity. If we really act on our words and create a very inclusive environment, I'm sure my daughter would choose to work in India, closer to her home, rather than taking up an opportunity in Australia or in the USA.
And your views?
My own, they don't listen to me. Let me tell you, my daughter, a NIFT graduate, she wanted to go to, so that's as a consultant, let me tell you, as a professional, what we are doing is basically take an opportunity, learn. This is the time. That's what we say. Invest before harvest. Straight away, you can put all the theories. It will not help. Unless otherwise, you are case study by yourself. You go to the floor, learn in manufacturing. Otherwise, you'll be too mature.
This is very ideal answer. I like
Not ideal answer, sir. What if you don't invest, learn, apply? 4 years later, premature retirement.
Your reading, your experience, or what you hear or what you see. Do we give very decent civil treatment to the shift supervisors in our factories today, in manufacturing factories today?
No, line managers are the worst treated.
Exactly. And are they really protected from the bullying, workforce? Maybe men or women, I don't mean to say women alone. So what is the protection to them? And we simply wash up our hands by saying that that's how the shift supervisor's job should be. You have to be mentally prepared to take up these challenges. We all grew like that. This is what we say, and we lose a competent, wonderful supervisor or technical supervisor in a few months or in a few weeks. And we say that these youngsters do not say. I make a statement, it's not my statement, from what I understand is, we fail to give them very, very comfortable and conducive and protected ambience in their workplace, and therefore we are failing to, the industry, manufacturing industry is failing to attract the very bright shift engineers, which was not the scenario 40 years ago. Our parents and maybe a little elders to our parents would have been shift supervisors. For example, I worked for a company called Amara Raja Batteries long ago. And the founder of the organization proudly used to say that he was very young. He was the shift supervisor for 10 long years in Ford Motors. Night shift supervisor. He opted to do that. He said that during night shift, I had wonderful opportunity to learn because administrative hassles won't be there. The managers won't be available. And I can interact with the operators. And I can learn a lot technically. And I can also read for my MS something. Are we providing such a kind of, yes, I can kind of environment today? That's the question. And what to do that, please?
Yeah, I can just thump my chest and say, we are a women-friendly organization. We are a large organization. Silent.
I don't mean gender
no, I want to just...
I don't mean gender, sir. Any gender for that matter.
Why I'm saying is that facilitates that. We were able to get 373 engineers from Tier 3 institutions join as fixed-term trainees. Most of my colleagues are missing, otherwise they would be talking. 373 engineers undergo operators, along with operators, work for 11 months. And they have become line leaders. So we are trying this. Yeah, retention is 50%, but that 50% engineers are doing extremely well as line leaders. Maybe we missed the trick last 6 years. We have learned this. There is no shame working with other operators. They are doing extremely good job. Only thing we have to facilitate this and career path. After 2 years, what? I am an engineer, what else? So we are tying up with SRM. We are trying, actually. We are not yet arrived, we are trying. This will help, I suppose.
Okay, you have a very positive. Madam, your experiences, what do you suggest? How, as a CHRO?
I would like to just add.
Yeah, please.
on women working in night shift. While we're talking about,
No, let's not talk
no, just
gender
talking
here.
about it.
An young, bright engineer, and is he so happy to work in night shifts in a manufacturing setup today? My survey says no, not at all. And what a CHRO should be doing to ensure that yes, they come forward happily and feel that they are going to gain so many things out of this. So what is that CD to create? What kind of ambience and engagement and protection? My survey says that they are bullied and they are humiliated, insulted, and next day morning their bosses demand the results, ask for the results, and they don't care, if these people place the grievance that no, that fellow didn't work, that fellow slept over. No actions are taken. The only scapegoat, the so-called scapegoat, I don't have hesitation to use that, is the shift super. This is my survey, clear survey. And what to do as a CHRO? How are you going to address this as a CHRO? An idealistic way of dealing this. Now, let's not talk about your industry in general. Yeah.
Before I answer to this question, I think it is responsibility for me to address what Raj was saying, that he will not send his daughter to a night shift in a factory. I think all the HR people or IR people sitting here or whoever is listening will agree. Like, all companies provide safe working atmosphere for women to work in night shift or any shift. That is why we have all these policies all are in place. Portion is in place, transportation is being provided. And what is an accepted behavior, what is not the accepted behavior is being communicated by most of the organization, be it during induction or during any kind of an training session, wherever it is required, it has been communicated. So companies or industries function just not for safety of women, but also safety of men as well. It is just not gender specific. Safety of every individual matters a lot. I think another thing is, company can have a kind of a GPA or something like that, huge protecting their, that is a lighter way I'm saying. But otherwise, I think company need to communicate what are the do's, what are the accepted behavior, what are the not accepted behavior very clearly, and put it in all the understandable language that people understand. That is number one. Second, the shift supervisor, I think the company cannot come and protect or take care of every individual. They can only put systems, process in place. Individual are very meek. I think it is a responsibility of the organization to ensure that they hire a right candidate for the shift supervisor role. And there is no emotions in that. It is only the job deliverable which matters. I think in that context, if they talk to the people, their subordinates, their ends. In fact, many times I had seen the shift supervisor will be getting probably an engineer, fresher or with experience, 15,000. But the people who under them, they will be getting 30,000, 35,000. That's an order of the day. Blue collar getting more paid, more secured rather than the white collar. That's a kind of a labor system that we have. But within the confinement, I'm sure there is a lot of protection for every individual. I think it is important that they have to bring it to the redressal mechanism if they are not feeling safe and secured. The organization need to take care of every individual working in the company.
Thank you. Thanks, madam. Last two questions, I think we are getting closer to, the last question will be a very holistic, idealistic question, but I have a very tricky question, very straight question. I'll ask this question to youngsters first and then we'll follow. Organizational politics, okay, really come to HR for want of redressal when they encounter or when they suffer out of to the organizational politics, or HR will out of duress or out of immaturity, not everybody, oftentimes, out of duress or out of immaturity or out of what should I say, the inclination to stay close to the power will take sides while dealing with the organizational politics. Your response, youngsters, first, then we'll go to the veterans. Thereafter, we have the last question, we'll end up. This is the last before question, please.
That's a great question, sir. Politics happens everywhere, and I think it's a very important competency of HR professionals to be able to manage.
Maybe straight and crisp answer, please, sir, because he has been signaling me that. He has been signaling like dosa, idli.
Okay, straight answer is, it all depends on your credibility as HR professional. As a HR professional, if you are not biased, if you are not seen as someone who is close to a power center, any colleague will approach you to highlight their grievance. But if they see you as someone who is part of one group or the other group, they will definitely not come and raise their grievance to you if they think you are close to the group against whom they are going to raise grievance. It is very important for all of us to maintain that neutral stance, be seen as someone who is fair.
So on the first question, as long as the organization and the HRVP provide a safe space for employees and create the right structures, policies and systems, any employee, irrespective of their personality trait, introvert, shy, whatever, they will feel comfortable and confident to come and air their grievances. That's the first question. The second question, it's always better, even as HR, to steer clear of politics. But if there is a situation where there is politics involved, then I think the skills that an HR professional can borrow from an IR person in terms of conflict management, in terms of negotiation, in terms of settling disputes, I think that is an important skill to recall and bring it over here to kind of resolve these political issues.
Falling prey to the politics. How HR can
Wrong as well. But I have felt that sometimes HR themselves contribute to the politics, or they side with the, the whole thing about being neutral or our HR ethics. Like somewhere for the Hippocrates oath for the doctors, I think we should have an oath for ourselves as well, so that we do what
in the organization in trouble. Fair enough. Now the veterans to respond to this in short, because he has been again signaling from the back.
When they're outside the organization, that vigilance is crucial. That is number one. Second, when they encounter any verbal kind of an issues, all those stuff, I think it is important to say if there is anything small thing, that rationality they should have. Okay, if it is small things, I think you both sit and sort out. Or if it is something beyond that, I think put it in a document, give it in writing. If there is a process and system to take care, okay, these are the allegations, these are the issues with this person, these two individuals, I think the process and system would take care. Generally, we should give a message that we don't enter into other than which is non-work related.
exactly led
As a last question to the panel, we have been hearing for past 4-5 years that industry 4.0, right? And following which they have been listening, reading and listening to the best of the experts in HR domain that HR 4.0, it's fast approaching, and we can't avoid HR 4.0. And what this HR 4.0 is all about, and what additional skills that a HR professional or a manager should equip with. What this HR 4.0 for the interest of the larger audience's understanding, and how should HR be equipping with to deal with the industry 4.0 clubbed with HR 4.0, and will the dichotomy work there, or there should be a professional HR professional with a holistic blend of this and that, youngsters first and then veterans, please. Got the question?
To be very honest, Vijay sir, I've been tracking COVID waves 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0 that I kind of missed what is the HR wave coming up next. However, having said that, I think some of the, I am a firm believer that the dichotomy should not exist and the skills should be fungible. But I think what will carry us through is the learning agility and the ability to keep pace with technology. I think those are the things that we need to watch out for.
Versatility, learning agility are two important things. One thing that we see as lacking when it comes to HR4 adaptation amongst many colleagues is the speed at which digitization is.
First explain what is HR 4.0 from your perspective, in brief. Okay. Don't take much time, just 3-4 bullets.
One important thing I would highlight, and we will have other leaders talk about the rest of the things. One thing in HR 4.0 that we are seeing is the pace at which digitization is playing a role in HR processes. The digital transformation is real. Last 2 years have contributed significantly to we adapting digitization in HR processes. Sometime back we may have seen people filling papers. We don't see it in 90% of organizations today. One simple example, there are a lot more things that are happening over there. Be it in terms of employee engagement, doing pulse surveys, getting to know how employees feel, how we deliver wellness programs. A lot of things are digitized today. That's one aspect of HR 4.0 that I would like to touch upon here.
So my view, my perspective for HR 4.0 is the automation, the use of AI, ML, all those things, automation of entire industry, the processes, the HR processes, everything. And how it is going to impact HR. So lot of the jobs at transaction processing level, they have been omitted. And if I take, give example from my Aditya Birla group, so earlier, lot of transaction processing, the clerical positions were available. Now, company has established one shared services in the name of CIMEX, and then all those transaction processing for entire Aditya Birla group has been settled in Mumbai, and then entire whatever process, whatever issue we have to raise ticket, and then this will be solved from that shared services located at a central location. So now the transaction processing level from entire Aditya Birla group, all companies, all locations, 2 to 3 jobs from HR has been vanished. They have, people were not removed, but as they retired or they transferred from one place to another place, one function to another function. So these kind of things happening. So right now it has become to transaction processing level, but in coming days it is going to happen at mid-level also. That's my perspective.
I agree with all three speakers who had said about in terms of learning ability, agility, and digital transformation. I would like to add only a couple of points in terms of Industry 4.0. One, with all the digital information, I think HR or IR experts should play a kind of a business analyst role, using the data into meaningful solution. What are the issues? I think that business analyst role is a crucial one. Second is in terms of I think more than becoming an expert, I think each HR person, IR person should become like a consultant for the organization. If there is any issue, be it in people front, business front, or any external issues, I think they should be look at HR or IR person as a consultant to rely on to get the advice. I think that kind of credibility or the knowledge or the competency the HR and IR experts should develop. Thank you.
Raj, any views?
Yeah. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, there is a simple way. We are just basically, most of the HR professionals, based on that, during the COVID times, lot of us of this, machine learning and data analytics, predictive, which area the attrition is going to hit, which skill set we have to prepare, which potential, which performance guys we have to retain. All these things are just because going into chatbots, going into self-help learning.
Thank you, Raj. And now, thanks.
Right to form association union, making it today. So it is applicable to us, IR manager, HR manager, union, anyone. We have to agree with that. Then, when union comes, anyone comes, whatever IR, HR, ER, unless we know individual one-to-one, it cannot be addressed. IR manager should have relationship with each and every worker of an organization, employee of an organization. And then, as Madam told, IR manager, HR manager should have a rational approach. What they are coming, but workers also, employees also should know where we are standing. When we sit in X company, they talk about Y company. Y company is not manufacturing X company product. That kind of knowledge should have. If there is a lack of knowledge, it is our job to educate them.
Fair point.
Do you have
any specific questions to them? It's a good suggestion.
Shorter question.
Any questions? Any questions?
Any questions? Human, psychologically, socially, environmentally, culturally varied. But the goal is, when we don't meet the expectation, we are defaulters. What kind of solution I am managing?
What is the question, sir?
When the employee comes, we want to address his grievances. If we are not able to address his grievances, we are defaulter. We are lack of people. How to manage that gap?
So the question is, when an employee comes to you, comes to HR with a grievance, and when we fail to address that, if we are unable to address, we are defaulters. We are labeled as defaulters. So how to address this? Just any one or two can respond. Yeah, please.
On a lighter note, if I have to say, all problems or issues of employees cannot be addressed and solved. I think that we need to state it very openly. At least we should be patient enough to listen to that person. Sometimes certain things can be solved immediately, certain things requires time, certain things it is not within the limitation of the HR or IR person. I think we need to inform that person the process and ask the person to be patient. If the employee is impatient, I think he need to find his way out. That's his choice. I think we need to communicate our point very clearly. Thank you.
Fair enough. Thank you. Any other questions?
Good evening. It was an excellent topic. I would like to know, we have been hearing about the past, present, slightly about future. I would like to know how the human capital management going to be handled in future. Still, we are going to have a specialist of HR, IR specialist, or any other way, how it can be handled, or how it can be, transferred to the line people. Being a lean consultant, okay, organization is going towards lean. Considering that, how the future human capital management going to be deployed across any organization? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Maybe 2030, if I understand your questions correct, how HR is going to design its deliveries by 2030, roughly 10 years from now? Yeah. Just one answer from any of the panelists, please.
HR will play the role of a consultant like the SMEs that we as HR folks consult within our organization for IR, CNB, or for any other matter, you may have one HR consultant in a site. Leaders will play the role of HR, and this HR partner will play the role of a consultant for the leaders, for the people managers.
Thank you. I'm not going to take much time. One food for thought. We've been seeing IPL match. Okay. So we have a coach for everything. Batting coach. But if you take the 11 players or even the 25 players, there are all-rounders, opening batsmen, bowlers. But everyone should know the fielding. If nobody is good for fielding, they should not be fit enough in the team. So, more than the consultant, what my food for thought is, the experienced people like you people, you have to be a coach. And the front end, right from frontline people, they should know, like a fielding, they should know IR and HR, everything. They should take care of their own people. Why they should put the blame to the HR and IR? Okay, they should take upfront their HR and IR managers. Okay, with that, I'll close my views.
What sir says that, you train the line managers to be the effective IR managers and HR managers and coach them. They'll take care of the issues in real-time basis, on real-time basis. Wonderful, sir. Thank you. Yes, any other questions this side? Please. Last two questions. Yes.
As a IR perspective, handling the millennials and the generation X, it's very complex that time. Now, the generation Z is handling is very, we are finding difficult. Okay. In future, if the same situation arises, if you can know that last 2 years before, there is some under situation in Oragadam belt, like if you can see Yamaha, Royal Enfield, the age group of the people in the NEEM scheme, they created issues, IR issues. Okay, in future, how we need to face these issues and how it will be evolved as per the IR perspective.
Your question is, what are the specific issues with Gen Z?
If I could say, in the earlier stage, the employees might ask my career growth. Now it is a demanding phase. Okay, if I join today, what will be the next level for the next 2 years?
Quick career growth is the demand, right?
Yes.
Quick career growth or quick compensation? What specific question is quick
Yes,
career growth?
Career growth depends on the salary part, compensation also.
I'll take the role of one of the speakers. Are we really bold enough in showcasing the career growth map for a blue-collar operator today? We are not.
I'm
Maybe in one organization.
So I'm from Michelin. Okay, we have the clear career path for the employees who is joining for the low level.
Yet
okay?
you have the problem with you?
No, we don't have a problem. I'm seeing the perspective of the IR angle.
Those companies may not be offering a blueprint. And so that maybe it's a very simple idealistic answer. The reality could be very different. I'm just picking answer from your own question. They want a quick career growth. Unless somebody announces a quick career, unless somebody announces an ideal or a kind of fixed or a kind of a well-framed career growth, why anybody should be demanding that? That's the question. Maybe I'll leave it to them.
Just to add, there are two perspectives. One, I think when we induct new people itself, Gen Z, we need to communicate what are the parameters of a performance evaluation. And second, the line managers or the team leaders should be equipped to give proper feedback. I think accurate evaluation and giving a timely feedback matters a lot. That person will be in a cloud 9, but we need to tell that you are not in cloud 9. To us, to the job requirement, you are this. I think we need not have to be goody-goody. The line managers or the team leaders should tell what is the actual the performance level to that particular job. That feedback is very, very crucial. That is number one. Second, in terms of issues that is cropping up, I think basic thing need to be handled properly. That is there ends everything actually. Things like transportation, water, proper clean. That is, you need to ensure that water is properly cleaned. A lot of parameters are there. That is drinking water, clean drinking water, the restroom facility, transportation, food facility. I think these are, and social security measures. Trust that, my people.
I'm not an IR expert. I just want to say that upfront. However, I have a point of view. The Gen Z, right, to processes and benefits. Have you taken a
The hunting lifestyle, or our lifestyle, billions of years ago, we used to hunt the weaker, no, animal. So why anybody should transparent and fair? The people, no, who are receiving the so-called experiencing the transparency will equally fair to me. But in the process, they ignore the very fact that no, the power balance in switch will have to be kept on and off.
They take it and they are sending out after 3 years. And a lot of people coming out from corporates and finding difficulties to get the job for the right salary. So as a HR community, how it can be
Security in the sense, what is it? Can you?
like NEEM scheme they take for 3 years.
Okay. I told the answer, so I'm a moderator, I should not tell this. We eat chicken, we eat goat, but we won't dare eat elephant because it's bigger, it's powerful, and we don't like to eat that. So it's a human tendency to beat the weaker one and take it. So similarly, it's state framed up law. Government has promulgated this NEEM scheme, and everybody uses. Maybe a few organizations may not like to have NEEM schemes. I knew a few handful of organizations, they don't want to make use of this because they think that it's unfair. But largely, by and large, the root cause is cost pressure. Obviously, root cause is cost pressure. By hook or crook, if you are supplying your auto component to a vehicle manufacturer, they themselves will come and tell you, this is how you can cut the cost. The moment you project that 7% is my labor cost, employee cost, they'll say, no, see the other company, they are using a mix of workforce, mixed model of ABC, and they are managing within 5%, why not you? It's a pressure and pressure release game. Thank you. Next, sir.
Thank you for a wonderful session, sir. My question is like, if I look at the holistic view, in India, like we are in the 79th position for ease of doing business. After the implementations of our, codes, we jumped to 63, like a 14, the stages that we moved in. My question is, still we need a lot of regulations to tell us like, how do you do the business?
Okay, maybe the big corporations can take the question. As a moderator, I don't want to do too much of talking. Please. See, the ease of doing business. It has come down from 69 to 79 to 63. Yet we need to come closer to 20 or 30. So ease of doing business index.
Yeah, I'll explain in physics. Newton's law.
Quickly, Raj.
No, Newton's law. If you just exploit, the power will automatically balance. So much of NEEM automatically will balance. Everybody will sit in street. Those who are not skilled, they will be there. Skilled will go to clear gate, cat, they will go away. Others, weaker links will suffer.
So he's not scared of things are going on live. Thank you.
Final question. Quick retention strategy of Gen X, Gen Z and millennial. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Quick. Gen Z and millennials.
There is no major change.
Except the name. This is the last question, right? Yes. It's almost 9 o'clock.
pretty much what I said. I think the USP is showing meaning in what they're working for. I think that's most important for Gen Zs and millennials and whoever actually.
Give them competitive compensation, engage them, give them ample opportunity to develop themselves. That's how.
Sir, the youth is investing in cryptocurrency and making a lot of pocket money. Not why pocket money? Making a lot of saving a lot of money for their overseas tours. Why should they suffer with you unless you offer a wonderful package and give them a highly engaging and meaningful career? Simple answer is simple. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Let us all give the panel a very big hand. It was an excellent discussion, went up to more than 2 hours. And half of the strength also in the dinner hall. And before all because they have to reach another 100 kilometers. It is a time for recognition. Let us all first recognize our start with moderator and panelists and subsequently our sponsors. I call Mr. Murugesan, our HR and IR professional, to come forward to give a shawl and memento to our moderator. Sir, please come. Okay, we'll start with the panelist, Mrs. Malini Saravanan. I request Mrs. Subhashini Madam, please come forward along with Manju Priya to recognize her. Thank you, madam. I request Mr. Navneet Krishnan and Mr. Rotarian S. Kumar, Gumudipundi Industrial City, to step forward to recognize Padmakar Lal Das. Request Mr. A.R.E. Ravi, please come forward along with Rotarian Suresh sir from Rotary Club of Gumudipundi to come and recognize Mr. Rajagopal, HR professional. Book. Okay. I call upon Mr. Jagadiban, who is our charter member for S2S. Now he is with BEML Bangalore. He specifically came to attend this program from Bangalore. He is a KGF, Chapter 2. There he is doing IR. 2. So I request Ravindra Daya Kamachi Industries General Manager to join with him to recognize Mr. Ravi. Yeah. Request Ms. Shivashankari, TILS student, and Mrs. Chitra, advocate, to come and honor Ms. Chaya. All the way from Chennai, friend of Mr. Vijay Kumar. Sir, vaanga, nee I request AR Enterprises, Mr. Ravi and his son Praveen, to come and accept a small memento. I request Mr. Jagannathan and Mr. Ganesh. Mr. Nagaraj, please come forward, please. I request Mr. Hari from Kellogg's and Mr. Suresh from OPG to step forward to recognize KTV Health Food, who have Manigandan, please come and come with the team. KTV Health Food. There. thank you. We like to have a group photo panelist and moderator. Preferably myself and Mr. Navneet. Please come and join. இருங்க இவங்க எடுத்துட்டு அப்புறம் தெரிவிங்க. சூப்பர்.
Mr. Vijay Kumar and Mr. Arun Kumar of Sri Bhagyalakshmi Travels Service, SBLT, who have come to see this and also sponsored all pens and all. So future sponsors. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
In Sri City more SBLT buses are running. So we hope for our S2S excursion, you will be supporting us. We will have a family excursion. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I request all our members to renew your subscription, annual subscription. And those who are here as a sponsor, they want to become a sponsor for an event. So kindly support us. Please approach us. So thanks for coming. It's a long evening, very long evening. It is the first attempt. Next time we will make it. Thanks to hotel management and also our live, YouTube live and online live. Thank you. Thank you everyone. I request everyone to join dinner.